Hey people, I'm sure by now I've weeded out all the evil with my crazy talk. So y'all get ready to learn the most powerful magic on the planet. So I brought my mom a mess of dewberries last night. She says their dewberries aren't due for another 2 weeks. But the dewberries are right on their cycle. Everything works in its cycle. And this is just a great indicator of the cycles. We don't have all the books, so I'm going to speculate a little bit here. We would first flip through this book of the art and we would find a picture of the dewberries and we would read and see what its controlling planet was. I'm going to guess that it might be Jupiter, being Jupiter so strong right now. And we would go to the book of Jupiter and we would read all about Jupiter and what's associated with it. And then we would learn the cycles of this, and we would then perform white magic by knowing the cycles, knowing what's going to happen before it happens. This is what's meant by as above is so below. And everything's connected. You can't get away from it. That's God. That's the wireless information network of God. So about that time, the Ten Commandments came on. My mom says she's watched this for every year for 60 years. And I had to explain to her that that's probably the worst propaganda ever created. This would be my specialty, being that she sold me into slavery about 40 years ago, and I've been working in the construction field ever since. It would take some really serious magic to get slaves to do this. If you strap a heavy block on a slave's back, within a year, they're going to be built like Lou Ferrigno. Without guns, it's going to take 3 guards for every slave. You're going to have 4 times as many mouths to feed. You're going to have somebody to watch them while the guards are sleeping. You're going to have time for your guards to work out so they can compete. And if you smack one of these guys with a whip, you're a total idiot. Now, from experience, I'll tell you what does work. When you have a hard day ahead and you go load up your crew, the first thing they ask is, you got a Loratab? Do you have any weed? And if you want them to stay and work late, you slip off about 3:30 and go fill a cooler up with beer. This would be the magic of the Egyptians, and this is where the word Hebrew come from. The brewers. They were master brewers. When scholars talk about this, they like to say, well, these people believed. And I'm here to tell you that these people knew, and these scholars don't know shit. These people knew that everything worked in cycles. They understood the cycles. They understood how to work with the ebb and flow. When it comes to the cycles of knowledge, these people were working on the peak of the wave. We're at the bottom now. We think we're some kind of smart, but we ain't got a clue. So white magic comes from working with the cycles, and black magic takes a little more effort. And I know it works, and I feel the effects of it all the time, especially on Sundays. I know my mom's at church, and she has the whole congregation praying that I be enlightened because she thinks I'm a demon. And I can feel the knowledge and I see the visions, especially on Sundays about 11 o'clock. And I know it's happening, and I welcome it. Anybody who wants to pray for me, you're very welcome, and thank you very much. If what I'm telling you goes against what you've been taught, it's because your instructor just didn't know, or they don't want you to know. We're going to get off into the most powerful white magic in the Bible. It's in plain English. All you have to do is move 1 comma over 1 word. And if you hear me say they believe, it's because the years of brainwashing. What I really mean is they knew. So this magic cures all psychological problems, and they knew that 90% of your physical problems were caused by a psychological problem. So before anybody gets mad at me, I want y'all to know that there are no little girls interested in what I'm saying, and that few little boys underage probably highly intelligent to be interested in this. So after I discovered that the Torah was a more a Phoenician alchemy language, I was having difficulty trying to decode it. So I went back to the Bible, and I made it up here into Exodus 3, and I seen that Moses had an angel of the Lord appeared before him in the burning bush, and I said, well, hell, I bet that angel sure could help me decode this. And I looked a little closer, and then I noticed that so I looked in the commentary, and it said that this bush was acacia. And so when I wiki acacia, I find that it has the highest known content of DMT. So when I wiki DMT, I see that that's the drug that's in ayahuasca and to be consumed. But Terence McKenna was breaking it down and smoking it, where he was seeing machine elves of a higher intelligence. Terence McKenna has many videos here on YouTube, and you can learn much more about him there. So all the way through the Bible, every time they talk about burning incense, it's always on an altar made of acacia. But if we move that comma over one word, it'll say that the incense was made of acacia. I was interested, so I asked a couple of my local weed dealers, and they said that's some bad shit, you don't want to mess with it. So don't try this at home, you're liable to burn your house down. If you're interested, I don't recommend anyone under the age of 25 touch it, and everyone over the age of 45 should try it. But you need to see a skilled shaman, and you're going to recognize him because he's not going to have a set price. He will ask for donations, and he will ask that you help prepare it, because that's all part of the spirit in it. So I studied this for a year. I started a regimen of sun gazing, which I recommend, and learn how to do it properly so you don't hurt yourself. Meditation and cyclic breathing, which is a must. You're going to learn how to clear your mind and start chipping away at your ego problems, because when you do this, God's going to reach down your throat and he's going to pull your insides out, and you're going to be staring your ego in the face. And the more ego problems you have, the more horrible this trip's going to be. But if you learn to control your ego before this, it's going to be a much more enjoyable experience, and you're going to learn a lot more from it. So this DMT is a natural occurring substance. You create it in your brain. Many animals do. More than 100 plants it's in. It's in the lettuce that you eat. So after about a year studying, I started to understand more about this God that I was rejecting because I didn't believe what the Bible was saying. I learned a recipe, and I mixed some up out of just a couple things that were already around the house and some grass that was growing in the ditch by the road. Once again, I don't recommend trying this, but I did it alone, and my first trip was a bullseye. The machine elves taught me a song, and for 24 hours I had my hands raised above my head like a holy roller in church, singing about how we are the love of God. We could give Charlie Manson a dose of this and turn him back loose in public. It'll make you love everything. Everything you see is love. Everybody you see you love. This is the whole reason the Bible was changed. It's because after you do this, everything you think matters doesn't matter anymore. All you want to do is play music, praise God. You don't care about running to work every morning at 6:30. You don't care about the newest iPhone. You don't care about nothing but sitting on a beach playing your guitar and fishing. All the animals and creatures know it. When you turn the lights on in the middle of the night, the roaches won't even run from you because they know you can't kill them. So one more time, don't try this at home. It's not addictive. Uh, you you're not gonna want to go back and talk to God until you've decoded everything He told you last time. But when you do it right, it's very calming experience. You will go to heaven and sing with the angels, and you won't want to come back. But when you come back, you'll realize that you are blessed with this life to enjoy, to do the things you can't do while you are a spirit, and enjoy it as long as you can until you go back to the spirit world. So all this goes a little bit deeper than this. The Egyptians were using this to create near-death experiences and practice for the afterlife. And we'll get into that next time. So don't try this at home. Don't jump into it. You better study some, get some professional help with it. But it is a very enjoyable experience, and it can't be addictive. So good day. God is love. God is light, and God is knowledge.